This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. December 13th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. at the Mitchell County Courthouse for Supervisor Board meeting. We have an agenda in front of us. If everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda.
I'd like to switch a couple things around on the agenda. As far as, I see Board of Health is after appoint public health board members. I'd like to switch those two around so we can hear public health or Board of Health before that.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
If everybody wants to do that, we can do that.
That's number, which, 11 and 10 and 11. Oh, yeah, 10 and 11, okay. So 10 and 11 will be switched. Okay. Any other corrections or additions or? Move to approve the agenda. Steve's moved to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? Ken seconded. All in favor? Aye. Item 2, approve the minutes of December 13th. December 13th. December 6th. One paper says 13, one says 6. December 6th, meeting and claims.
Make a motion to minutes and claims.
Okay, Mark's made a motion. Do we have a second?
One second.
Seconded. Any discussion on any of this?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Todd.
Moving on. Item 3, county attorney general discussion. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning. I had court hearings pop up that I have to handle about 9 or maybe a little after. So I'm probably not gonna take up too much time here because I assume, given some of the topics at hand, people may have questions for me, they may not, but, or if you have questions now. But anyway, I just pointing out that normally I don't do regular court day, but I do handle some of the bigger stuff because I like that. And those are a couple things that got put on today, and I kind of need to be there. So,
Okay. And if there is something that we need we can table it, I guess.
well, yeah, or, I mean, I'll just be upstairs. I mean, sometimes things get behind schedule up there and you don't know, so there might be downtime up there anyway, you know, so I don't know how long y'all are gonna be here. But anyway, most of you know how to get a hold of me. I think, but I'm telling you in case I bolt out of here.
Did you ever contact Carpenter? Did I miss an email or anything on that?
I've actually got it drafted, ready to go.
Okay.
I haven't
Gave
sent
Becky
it.
the contact information yesterday.
Yeah. So, and I actually thought I might wait a few days because like, I've got depositions today for a civil case. I've got set for a jury trial on January 4th, which is not the ideal time to have a jury trial set. That's when it is. So the next couple of weeks are gonna be a little bit hairy. So I was trying to figure out, okay, do I want to get into it with somebody? I don't mind getting into it with people, but I got a lot of other people to get into it with the next couple of weeks. I'm trying to strategically figure out when I'm gonna do this stuff, but I'll probably have Becky go ahead and send it. Email it, mail it, probably both, so.
Okay.
But it's there, ready to go. You wanna see it before I send it?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Aaron.
Okay,
Thank
good
you,
luck.
Item 4, sheriff update.
Yeah, so new from last week. I will have maybe a comment if I'm allowed when we get to the point on discussion on hourly wage increases or whatever we're gonna do with our hourly folks for next, fiscal year. But I can wait until we get to that point. So if you have questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them, or if people here have questions for me. Also take comments, good comments. Usually I wasn't any of those either. But
It's all right. You're doing a good job.
Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, item 5, department head discussion. Do we have anything for that? Anybody? Hearing none, guess we'll move on to item 6, county engineer update.
We have anything for you this morning? Good morning. Not much for you this morning either. I'll be out at the engineers conference tomorrow through Friday down in Des Moines. So we'll learn a few more things about there's a new bill about overload or the all systems permit that's coming out January 1 through the DOT and the county's participation. So we'll learn a little bit more about that when it comes through. We're not required to participate until July 1 of 25, but this all systems permit thing makes it July 1 or January 1. So it's just that they issued oversized overweight permits. And I think now they're allowing divisible and undivisible loads at 12% higher loads or weights than the commercial carriers book allows. So they're changing some things and we've got to look and evaluate our system to see whether we want to participate in them issuing permits or we still issue our own. So anyway.
On that topic, I got a call from the gentleman that Mitchell County is all in restricted, all the roads are restricted on the website.
They're restricted on their website as far as not allowing the DOT to issue the permits.
Mitchell
And-
County's, every road is restricted.
What's that?
Every road on Mitchell County on the website is restricted. For Worth County, they're all green.
They shouldn't be.
They are.
We'll have to look at it because that's a new system they're setting up and I don't think I've authorized anything green in there for their roads. So it's just, what's that?
I can pull it up.
No, that's fine. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying that I don't think we've allowed that. So we'll have to check things out and make sure.
Was Butler County below us, they're all green too.
Some of them have participated and some of them haven't. And I don't believe that I have intentionally participated, but I'll look at that system. So
that's like 90,000 for semi, right?
yeah, well, it's whatever it's 12% above the standard weight loads for those axle configurations. And what it does is to participate, when you participate, it means that the carrier will get an issued permit from the DOT and we don't have to provide the permit then, but we kind of want to make sure our routes are up to date for bridges and restrictions and that information is up to date before we participate. So
Bridges that have something to do with our bridges have never been built or designed the same as far as the loading of the DOTs.
well, and that's part of the issue is, you know, all these permits are usually for roads and then bridges are kind of separate. Whether you get an oversized overweight permit, you still can't cross a posted bridge. So there's issues there. So we've got to evaluate the system to make sure that the 12% increases in loads can be tolerated, our bridges can tolerate those. So it's going to take some work to analyze it. But yeah,
Hasn't farmers fallen into that already?
they're already exempt from
They're already
a lot
exempt,
of,
so they don't even need the permits, correct?
depends on what they're doing, but most implements of husbandry and equipment, mobilization, you know, if you're taking a tractor from a farm to an implement, they aren't required to have permits for oversized overweight. But they still can't cross a posted bridge.
So the majority of our roads down the road probably would be green, but we would have like T38 would be one that
I think,
might not be.
well, it just depends on, you know, the goal would probably be to anticipate our major routes through the county and participate in those, like the ones that connect Highway 9 to 218 and all those other roads that, the hard service roads that connect there that we feel are okay to include in that permit system. And then other than that, you know, like probably, I'm surprised, I don't think that a lot of counties maybe have added their gravel roads to that system, but there's not a lot of permits issued for gravel roads unless it's a local oversized way. So it's just something that it's kind of evolving for me to do a little bit more research on.
Do gravel roads currently have a weight limit?
No, I mean, they don't. I mean, other than, you know,
Other than the bridge?
other than what the commercial carriers book shows, we don't restrict loads on the roads technically. And a lot of the ones that are gravels are special equipment mobilizations, hauling an excavator or something like that to a jump site. They're not, because
a lot of these heavier loads aren't traveling gravel roads unless they're doing a specific project.
Correct.
So, and that's when they get a one-time trip permit versus an annual oversized overweight. So it's a little bit confusing yet for me. I've got to evaluate all that stuff, and I'm sure we'll get a little bit more education this week at the engineers conference, but just something that's coming up. I know there's been a lot of questions about it. I don't know if it's a good thing, increasing loads on roads.
I don't know either, it's just Iowa too, so you can't cross lines or,
Well, it's just an Iowa, yeah, it's an Iowa law.
being this close to Minnesota.
So,
I don't know. Yeah. I read up on it too.
Yeah.
Okay,
anything else?
anybody have anything else for Rich?
I see the blades must be out, touching the gravel, so.
Kind of getting a little rock exposed, I think.
Perfect, sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Discussion and possible action on health insurance. Next, morning.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my name's Ryan Hannum. Those of you that don't know me, I'm based out of Cedar Falls. I got a company called Financial Designs. We're a company that specializes in employee benefits. Okay, so what I'd like to do today real quick is just briefly share some information with you about health insurance, specifically related to a different concept than maybe what you guys are doing now, just for you guys to consider. Essentially what we do is we work with groups to try to help them provide the highest quality of benefits they can to their employees in the most cost-effective ways. Okay, and one of the tools we use to do that when it comes to health insurance is this concept called level funding. Okay, so I don't be respectful of your time. We could talk all day about the ins and outs of health insurance, but I'll try to just briefly touch on it. And if anybody has any individual questions after the meeting, I'd be happy to stick around and discuss those. But I believe you're familiar with the idea of self-funding, partial self-funding. Generally speaking, that idea is to kind of take control of your costs a little bit more by paying the claims as they come in, or at least some of the claims that come in, as opposed to just giving money to an insurance carrier and they pay what they need to pay and they keep the rest, right? The downside of self-funding and partial self-funding for a group is that it's hard to budget what those expenses are going to be, right? Because you don't know what they are until they're incurred. You know what the best case scenario is going to be if nobody ever goes to the doctor, and you know what the worst case scenario is going to be if everybody maxes out the insurance. But the truth is the real number is going to be somewhere in the middle. You just don't know what it's going to be. Okay. Kind of a twist on that then is this idea of level funding, which is a similar way of paying just for the claims, the medical expenses that are incurred, but setting a fixed amount up front so you know what your monthly expenses are going to be throughout the year. Okay, so you pay in a certain amount of money each month based on the calculated relative health of your group. It goes into a pot and claims get paid out of there, and then an added benefit at the end of the year. If you had a healthier than expected year, you potentially get some of that money back. Okay, so I should start off again by saying I'm not asking you guys to make any decisions on your health insurance today, other than engage your interest on maybe learning a little bit more about this. Within your packet, and you'll see just a flyer on my company, kind of see who my team is. Several different insurance carriers offer this type of product called level funding. If you were interested in looking to see what that would look like for your group, we would reach out to several different insurance carriers and see what would potentially be the best fit for you guys. I included some information just on one specific group, just kind of for your information to get a feel for what these kind of arrangements look like. And this group is called Gravy. Okay, now don't let the name fool you. I'm assuming most of you never heard of Gravy Insurance. Okay? This is a group that utilizes the Aetna network. If you're familiar with health insurance, you may have heard of the Aetna network. It's one of the nation's largest network of providers and hospitals. Okay, so even though the name's Gravy, If the place accepts Aetna insurance, you can go to that doctor. Mayo Clinic, Iowa City, Mercy Hospitals, Unity Point, all the big ones. Okay. First thing you'll see is this flyer called the Gravy Comfort at the top. Okay, and this is just, the reason I like Gravy is they're kind of trying to be on the cutting edge of this level funding type of insurance. And so they provide this type of plan where essentially all of your basic, most common medical procedures, things you would most commonly go to the doctor for, are covered at no cost to the employee. Okay, and then they also, just like regular insurance, set an out-of-pocket maximum. So if you have something bigger, you have a surgery or something like that, you know what your maximum expense is going to be throughout the year. So I just include some information on that. So you can kind of see it's a little bit different concept than normal insurance, but it's something that's pretty popular with the groups and employees that use it. With their coverage, they also offer several other free things. Obviously, teledoc, virtual visits with doctors, that's going to be pretty common, especially after COVID. But they also offer virtual physical therapy visits. They offer a wellness program. They offer a payment plan. And so if you would have any employees that get in a situation where they have a couple $1,000 bill that they can't immediately pay, they set up a no interest type payment plan for them, where the provider gets paid in full up front. There's no dings on your credit, those type of things. Okay. If you jump to, there's 3 different pages, spreadsheets. First thing to note right off the bat, these are not real numbers for your group. Okay, these are best guesses based on some limited health information we have for your group, and some assumptions made that you're a relatively healthy group. I just tried to kind of do as much of an apples to apples comparison with what you guys currently have to give you a feel for what something like this could potentially look like for you guys. Okay. If you look at the one that's printed landscape, sideways, what this shows you is how much you guys spent this past year on your 2 current plans, including HSA contributions you guys make to the employees that are on those plans, plus the amount that was spent to buy down the insurance on that partially self-funded plan, and then compare that to the total costs if you would go with that plan I mentioned where you go to the doctor, everything's covered, right? And you can just see that, again, given the limited information I have, there's potential there for some pretty significant savings over the course of the year. Okay. If you don't like that plan, or if you have somebody that says, no, I like the idea of the types of plans I have, you can do that as well. And so that's what those other 2 pages are, just to try to show you side by side how those would potentially compare as well. Again, same thing. There's the potential there for some fairly significant savings. Couple things to note. With this carrier, you're not limited to the number of plans you offer. In theory, you could offer a dozen different options to your employees, right? So you have a lot of flexibility that way. And what you're really doing, if you go with a level funded plan, and if your group comes back rated as a healthy group, right? That's the big if. You're locking in fixed costs for budgeting purposes. You'll know exactly what you're going to be spending every single month. And then you have that potential at the end of the year, if it is even a healthier year than expected, of getting some of that money back. Okay. I know that's a lot of stuff to throw at you in about a 5-minute or less deal. But you're not asking anybody to make a decision on switching insurance. But again, more just to gauge if there's any interest in looking into this a little bit further. It'd be a no obligation thing. There's no fee to get a real quote from these guys. It would just take a little bit more detailed claims history information from your group.
I have a question on this landscape one here, down there with our current plus HSA contributions. And that's not on those 2, but
so, yeah,
but it is over here. So that's
so to be able to make HSA contributions for individuals, you have to have a certain type of health insurance plan.
Okay.
And one of your plans qualifies to allow you to do that. That one, the Gravy Comfort Plan, is not a plan that would allow you to do that.
I see.
The flip side would be, if you look up top, all those services, they go to the doctor, they don't have to pay anything.
No cost, yeah. That's where the HSA comes in, is for that kind of stuff.
Right. Now, if you look at the other one, I'll take this, it says HSA on it.
Yeah.
You could set up an HSA type plan with them as well and still continue to make those contributions if that was something that you wanted to do.
Great.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
You talked about if we're underfunded, we might get a refund at the end of the year. What if we were, if we had more claims than what we actually paid, then do we have a financial commitment at the end of the year that we need to make up for the amount of claims that we had?
Nope. So that's a good question. Similar to if you had what we call a fully insured plan, if you have an unhealthy year, you just have people that, diagnosed with some conditions that cost a lot of money, that would be reflected in your next year's rates.
Okay.
So, just like if you had a plan directly with Wellmark and you just had a really unhealthy year for whatever reason, your rates are going to be based on that for the following year.
So is your company kind of a middleman company where you quoted it, or you gave us information as far as Gravy and they're part of Aetna? So are you kind of a middle person that shops for different?
Yes, we're the
carriers?
middleman. We're an independent group, so we can work with any insurance carrier out there. Our job is to service the plan for you, essentially. So meet with your employees. When they have questions, they're certainly welcome to call the insurance company, but we always prefer to call us, let us kind of do the dirty work for them.
So then if we, let's just pick Gravy and Aetna and we went with that, then is there a chance that we would have a different carrier another year? Or if we chose to search for another company, should we search for another company?
Right.
Another
Yeah.
time or something?
Yeah, so even if you want to just proceed with getting some quotes to see what this really would look like, I'm going to get those from different insurance carriers as well. This is just one example to show you. But then on a year-to-year basis, depending on what your renewals look like, we always have the option to kind of pivot and look at other options as well.
And then those other options would be, if we like an HSA, we liked, I always call it an 80-20 plan, but if we like those types of options for this group, if we switch to another carrier, then we would be able to maintain those plans?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It'd be whatever plans the insurance carriers offer. And generally speaking, they all offer the same types of plans. So whether it's here, company A, B, or C, we can shop around and see what might be the best deal for you.
The big thing here, and the reason why some of ours is expensive right now is because all of us want to have the option to be able to go to Rochester if needed. And that would be a requirement pretty much.
Yeah, and quite honestly, in this part of the state, I'm pretty uncomfortable suggesting any plan to somebody that doesn't give them the option to go to Rochester. And that would be included in this.
Rachel, do you know what our current premium's going to be for next year? Or you haven't got that? Probably not yet.
Yeah, we do have those.
You have those?
I do have the current premium for this next year.
Because are these, the numbers on here?
Yeah, I think,
last
so. I
year's?
mean, we sent that to him.
This
No,
current
printed it out.
would be that.
The current numbers that are on here, is that the current? That's what's going to be for next year?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know if it was this year's or next
because
year's.
we sent it, we forwarded the information we got from ISAC,
Okay.
which is how it showed that we were a pretty healthy group.
Okay.
What happens if we turn into a not healthy group? Do you dump us?
I would never dump you. No.
Legitimate question. I mean, what happens?
Your premium would go up, I suppose.
Yeah, so what would happen if you guys just had a bunch of, a healthy year, or you had a bunch of employees had babies born, or whatever it may be, the insurance carrier is going to probably raise your rates. At that time, we say, well, do we think that's kind of a blip on the radar and just deal with it? How big of an increase was it? And if it's something that's just not palatable, then we look at other insurance carriers and make a move at that time too.
It looks like there's some potential to save some money over our current plan.
And I would just stress the key is potential,
Yes.
because
you actually run
these are best guesses, but these are not guaranteed what it would be. Could be better, could be worse.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is the employees' age, they have the tendency to come down and have health issues, and sometimes them are high priced. And that is something that, no matter what, we're gonna have to work through in the future.
I would be in agreement to proceed and see what you can do for us. I mean, you can save us money and with a comparable plan. That's my.
So what I would propose, if we're in agreement, is I would just need a little bit extra information. Kind of put those together, get some rates from different insurance carriers, and then bring those back to you and just say, here are real rates now.
Okay.
Different options. And if it's something you want to proceed with, great. If not,
yeah,
no hard feelings. You still have insurance.
Right. Correct.
Always good to try to save the county money if we can.
Yes.
There was a time that we did switch, and it turned out to be a disaster, and we switched back to what we have now, so.
Mhm.
The older employees remember that, and so,
Change, no matter what it is, change can sometimes be difficult. Some people just getting used to a new insurance carrier, you have a new card in your pocket, whatever it may be. To try to address that as much as possible, we'll educate people ahead of time. I'd be in communication with them, just explaining what's going on. If they have any questions, let's be proactive and talk about it ahead of time before you actually sit in the doctor's office and you think of a question type of thing.
But what about the vision and dental? That's kind of.
So I only looked up health insurance info. We do all the employee benefits. So if there's anything else you guys ever wanted, just a second set of eyes on, we could certainly do that.
Are they all together now?
So we have everything through ISAC. So, and from what we were kind of talking, you could probably correct us. Most of those rates are pretty similar for like vision and dental. They're pretty cheap.
Okay.
But the big savings is when it's health
Oh,
insurance.
yeah. So what would we do with the
We'd have to switch all of it.
switch all of it? So
I think
that's,
we'd have to quote all of it.
Yeah.
so then we have to quote all of it. Yeah.
Those ancillary benefits, quite honestly, it's wherever you go, it's a difference of a few dollars.
It's not.
That's not a huge deal either way.
Okay. I suppose we want to stay with what we got, right?
What?
Well, you want to keep the dental and vision.
I think
That
the
could be one.
employees
That's up
would
to you
want
guys.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we need to
Yes.
vote for it all.
That's
That's what I'm
easy.
saying.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
So comparable to what we got.
Yeah, I don't think it would be something we'd ever want to pull the benefits that we have from the employees unless there's just some sort of financial reason that merited that, but no, I don't think we'd want to pull any benefits. We've got it.
Sure. Okay. So I'll be happy to stick around if you have any individual questions later you think of. Feel free to grab me.
Betty, you have a question?
Well, I just had a question because I remember what Jim was talking about. I was on the board of supervisors. And we went to partial self-funding at one point, and we changed carriers several times. Well, our group was not very healthy.
Okay.
And it turned out that we were reinsured on the aggregate stop loss and both on the stop loss, we had a figure, and on the aggregate, and we were reinsured by Lloyd's of London. Now, then we went back to a regular plan, and what Jim, I don't know which one he's talking about, but I'll tell you what happened. In 1997, we changed plans, and there's a tail on what you have. So if indeed you change plans and people went to the doctor and they weren't billed per se, and this happened, they weren't billed for some time, and then they got billed and they thought they could get paid through the new company, and they couldn't because the tail was over. You know what I'm talking about, so maybe you can explain it better.
I would refer to that as a run-out period. And so if you ever change carriers, there's a period of time that they're still going to cover claims that were incurred while you had their
But not
insurance.
reported.
But yeah, maybe the doctor's office just didn't get them submitted prior to when you change. But really the date that matters is when you incurred those expenses. the insurance carrier's on the hook. And if you go back to them 3 years later and try to submit a claim for something, they're very likely going to say no. But there is always that overlap period, you know.
Do these plans have networks or not?
Yep, so this network would be, it's called the Aetna Signature Network. And again, anybody around here that accepts Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield or accepts United Healthcare, they almost certainly accept Aetna as well.
Okay.
And again, I double checked, but it's Mercy Hospitals, Unity Point, Mayo Clinic, Iowa City, and all those groups accept this insurance.
We can go to the doctor we want to go to.
Right.
Okay.
So the county currently has Delta Vision, and clinic in town here won't accept it. For what reason, I don't know why. That seems kind of strange when the county has so many employees and they won't.
Yeah,
I
there are some situations where, especially in smaller communities, it can be hard sometimes to use dental or vision insurance just because they're not
But the medical.
Iowa City Hospitals, so they're not accepting all kinds of insurance. So that'd be something we want to look at just to see, what would be the most used places around here for that and see what they would accept.
I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For networking there. Okay, well, I guess maybe a motion in a second to go ahead and get quotes on this.
So moved.
Second. First and a second. Any other discussion on this?
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Okay. What's the deadline on this, Rachel? Do we have to, for ISAC, to enroll or to,
I honestly don't know if it's sooner or later.
it's what?
Have them work on it right away.
Yeah, but I mean, when do we have to
I
let
don't
them
know
know?
what the deadline is.
Okay. Well, Ryan will have to know so we know what the.
Yep, and part of, just so you guys know too, part of the process with insurance carriers, because they're trying to really narrow in your premiums in the healthier group, sometimes they're a little hesitant to give you a firm quote too far in advance of when it's going to go into effect.
Okay.
So I'll have to work with them to see how quickly they could, how far in advance of July 1st they'd be willing to give that to you.
Okay.
I know with schools, they're kind of in a similar situation where they start over on July 1st. They make their decisions much earlier in the year, but there's ways to kind of get that worked out. So I'll work on that on my end.
Okay. I don't know when the cutoff is for ISAC.
Yeah, we can find out. We haven't had our meeting with
You'll
them
find
yet.
out. Okay. All right.
Lindsay, do you just want to stay in touch with him
Yeah.
rather than all of us reaching out? We just kind of have you two work together on it and we'll.
Send us the information.
Yeah. You guys okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, consideration of compensation board salary recommendations for fiscal year 22-23. And we have those here. The recommendations are auditor, recorder, and treasurer, 7% raise equals $4,697.48 to bring it up to a salary of $71,804.40. The sheriff has a 6% increase of $6,345.08 up to a salary of $112,096.33. County attorney, 10% increase of $8,235.08 to a salary of $90,585.88. Supervisors, 5% increase of $1,824.38 to a salary of $38,311.88. So those are the compensation board salary recommendations. So,
And it says consideration, so this is just consideration. We actually have to have a public hearing and everything in order to, isn't that the process? Public hearing to approve these?
No.
Okay. Well, probably that's what the code said, but
Maybe have public comment now, if there's any public comment on that.
there any discussion on this?
And a public hearing held on the county budget as provided in this section, the county compensation board shall submit its recommended compensation schedule. So that's why I thought it was just consideration today, but actually at the budget hearing is where we finally say yes, but maybe I'm
It's
reading that
how we've
wrong.
always done it in the past.
Okay.
Some counties do it that way, but obviously people gotta start budgeting pretty soon, so it's better to know now than it's too late when we actually budget it.
Okay. Right.
So, anyway, is there any discussion on this, or we're looking for a motion and a second to approve this, or?
Move to approve.
Okay, Jim's made a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Steve has seconded, so. Any further discussion on this?
It's just interesting, they had 4 different percentages, which is,
Yeah, I think last year it was 5 straight across, and then this year, because of the Iowa code or whatever, yeah. So,
I have a reason why we're at the bottom, but
somebody's got to be.
that's right.
I just thought that was
yeah, I thought too, it was kind of
interesting that they
interesting
took
too.
4 different increases. Guess that's the way it is. Anyway,
We have a motion and a second. Well, any other discussion on this?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
All right,
Jim.
Aye.
Okay. Item 9, consideration of wage increase for hourly employees. So, I don't know, my comment would be, I guess, if the comp board thinks 5% is enough, then I'd say go with 5% for the employees, you know? Since-
Well,
I know we went above the comp board.
yeah. I think the comp board did 5% on us because they don't like us. That's pretty much, I don't care. I don't think that's the reason, just my opinion.
All right.
So I don't really want to reflect that on our employees either because
Did you like
I like our employees.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I averaged them like we did the last couple of years, if you want to hear those numbers, but
Okay.
it's just up to you guys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I took what the comp board had for all elected officials, and I took the county attorneys out because that was considered, to me, that was an outlier, the 10%. So I averaged the rest of them. And if you average the rest of them, it comes to 6.4% average. And then I averaged all the, Lindsay sent me the wages for everybody. I averaged all those out. Initially, including the sheriff's department, the sheriff and his deputies, that 6.4% on that average came to $1.62, which to me seemed a little bit high. So then I took the sheriff and the deputies out of the average because they're the highest paid employees in the whole county now since last year.
Yeah, I think they get a percentage of what the sheriff gets
Yeah.
anyway, so.
So I took all those, the deputies and the sheriff out of that average and then put the 6.4% in again, and it came to $1.44. So we're looking at $1.44 to $1.62, something in there, or whatever you think, but those are just some numbers to kind of think about.
So instead of going a percentage, you're thinking it's going a dollar amount, like.
Yeah, I just, we always did percentages, always in the past, and that always meant that the people at the high end were getting more of a increase than the people at the low end. And my thought has always been, inflation is if a gallon of milk goes up, if I make a lot of money and you don't make so much money, that gallon of milk still costs the same amount of money for both of us. Inflation is inflation for everybody. So to me, these are cost of living increases. These are not raises. And cost of living goes up for the same for everybody. So I think the cost of living increase should be the same for everybody. That's just the way I think.
And that statement is true. There's a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sharon.
So if you, maybe mine's already made up, I got a pitch for my hourly employees because without them, I can't keep my office going. It's not like factory work at the sheriff's office where maybe you just don't put out as much product in a day. I have to cover shifts. State law says I have to do that. When I look at the cost of living increase, it's 8.7% in 2022. And in January, that 8.7% is going to go on to Social Security income for millions of Americans, okay? I would like to see my people get 8%. That is $1.86 an hour increase on our average of about $23 an hour wages that is paid over there. If they don't get that, they fall behind. They fall behind what the cost of living increases are. And so with that, I just ask that you would consider that. Where do we spend our tax dollars? It's important to me, and I think I've always managed them well. Do you spend the tax dollars on retaining the people that you have that are already trained and do the work? Or do you spend tax dollars on hiring new people and retraining them? And I think that you end up incurring more costs on hiring and retraining than you do on retention. That's my philosophy. I want to keep the people that I have. It's a market out there right now where we have to manage a little bit differently than maybe we did 10 years ago. I think the pendulum will swing back where management can go back to managing the way they used to, which means this is what the policy says, and this is what you're absolutely going to have to do. Now we make a little bit of, I do in my office, make some adjustments to that policy so that I can keep the people that I have, so they don't go uptown, go out of town, find another employment, and then I don't have the people that I need. I run a lot of shifts on part-time folks, and that is a challenge keeping those folks. They don't have to be with us when there's full-time jobs out there. So just consider all those things when you make your decision. That's what I'm asking for my part-time. They're worth every penny. And I want to keep everyone that I have. So thank you. That's all I got.
What was the percent you said?
8.
8?
It was $1.86.
$1.86-ish, yep. Some of my folks are in that 21 and some are at 24. It plays out to be right at 23 on average. So $1.86. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yes?
All right, I've got a packet for you guys. So, I guess I want to do my proposal on my 2 departments just because I am my own person. I am my own department head for both departments. So I made a list of all of my accomplishments and my future plans for my department. I'll just sit here because it's easier for me, I guess. I'm not gonna go through all of these because it's a long list of everything that I've accomplished in the last year and a half. I don't really have a percentage. I didn't come super prepared like the sheriff did with a percentage in mind of what I think that you guys should propose, because I don't think that's my place, I guess, to say. But I probably should have came a little more prepared that way. But I also created a, if you guys look at the landscape paper, kind of like how I did before, I created a comparison of what similar counties with similar experience, full-time employees, what they make, similar populations of the county as well. You'll see on that list that I'm the lowest on there. So, and I actually have the most experience out of all of those counties. Most of them have less population to deal with as well. Again, I'm also a double department head, so I have to not only deal with planning and zoning, but also environmental health. After speaking with a supervisor within the last year or so, I was told that I was going to make a certain dollar amount by the end of my first year, and I'm not making that dollar amount. I'm about $1.04 short. So obviously, whatever you guys are proposing, I'll hit that dollar amount, but I just feel like my departments deserve a little better for the work that I've done off of the list that I gave you. So that's all.
Fine. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm thinking of possible questions, so
Oh,
I know, I see what you made and stuff. And
Yep.
comparing to the other people.
Yeah,
I just want to say the same thing. I don't have a percentage. We haven't talked about it on the Board of Health. But I agree with the sheriff. We have the same thing at Public Health and Home Health. We have a hard time retaining employees, especially being next to Minnesota. The nurses and CNAs there make way more than they make in Iowa. And we're way better off to retain our staff than have to try to find new staff, and we are behind.
What we do for the sheriff's department is pretty much, I think, is pretty much what we need to do for other people too. I don't really know. You know, he talks about retaining the people in his department, which is true, but that's for all departments too. All departments probably have the same issue as far as retaining people. I'd be hesitant at isolating that department with an increase and not other ones. Your thoughts?
No, I think we should go straight across the board, except the secondary roads, their negotiations. Are we gonna start their negotiations pretty quick? Or?
That's up to, we've got, Renee is trying to schedule something. I don't know what theirs are yet.
January something,
Yeah.
she hasn't given us a date yet.
When is their contract up? What's that? When is their contract up? June 30th is their contract, so you'll be negotiating here soon, so we know. So I don't have a number to plug in for the budget yet, but.
So these would be all employees excluding secondary roads.
Theirs will be coming, yeah. Pardon? Then yours will be coming to take effect July 1st too. Yeah, I mean, I guess this will just, the hourly employee, I only have one, so. Well, two,
Should be Melissa and Merlin.
Yeah.
right?
okay. And the rest fall under the contract? Yeah. Well,
Where's Amanda? Is that something that we think about or we should say, or, I mean, that's not, actually, it's not part of, is it part of this line item? I'm not opposed to what she's proposing. I'm not opposed to that, but
Didn't we give you a raise last summer sometime? That didn't get us up to what we
last
promised.
June,
That wasn't what we promised then.
no. Mhm. It was $1 short from what I was told I would be making by the end of my first year. Which, I'd like to preface that I'm very thankful for what I make. Like, I'm very thankful for this job. I'm just trying to advocate for myself and my departments and all of the work that I do.
And you've done a lot.
yeah, I agree with
Took a while to type that list up. Both of them, so.
there's nothing wrong with coming here and telling us what you
Nope.
do.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
And just being an hourly employee, I feel like at this specific discussion, it's the right time for myself to advocate. And it wouldn't be, like, obviously, this would take place on July 1st when everybody else's would come to fruition. It wouldn't just be like right now type of thing.
Yeah, it would be a July 1st.
Right.
So the $1.86 comes to $3,868.80 per employee. If with the sheriff's proposal.
I'm just a little nervous at that amount, but
Yeah,
I'm sitting here looking, thinking,
maybe we should meet in the middle somewhere.
and I don't know what your thinking is, Jim, but the auditor, recorder, and treasurer have gotten a 7%. Would you be easier thinking at that?
Well.
How much is that, Mike, again?
Oh,
3,000?
3,800 something per employee. At the 8.6 or 8% at $1.86. I don't know what'd you say, 20? You took $23?
Yeah, our average hourly rate is in the $23 an hour. Now, not everybody's hourly rate is that high. Your
Yeah.
figure is not gonna be 38, but you're right, Mike, at that, that's what I figured also.
Okay. Yeah,
my office.
So at 7% it'd be $1.61.
And that is kind of at the high end of what Jim
And
has.
that'd be $3,300 an employee. 7%. $1.71, whatever.
What did you say, Steve, 7%?
Yeah, 7% would be 33.48, I think, per employee, per year.
What do you do with that average? Ranges from $1.58 to $1.78.
Okay. That's, well, I was just doing the $23.
Yeah, okay, I just,
Okay. So
yeah, I
what
just
did you
put
get?
it in here, so okay with that. So if you remove the sheriff and his deputies from everybody's average, it comes to, that 7% comes to $1.58. If you include the sheriff and his deputies, not his department, but the sheriff and his deputies, it comes to $1.78. And again, those are just numbers based on what everybody else is making.
Yeah, I just took the 23 times 7% times 40 times 52.
And so between those $2 figures, you're a little over $400 is what we're talking about per employee. And I'll tell you what, folks will be happy either way, but I'm gonna advocate for the higher amount. But they'll be thankful for whatever you guys decide, so.
And how many full-time employees is there? Well,
You're right at 100
right at 100.
employees. Just short of 100.
So,
But that's with the secondary roads.
well, that's what secondary roads.
This
Well, they're gonna be getting something too.
This showed 108.
108.
Yeah. Well, some of these are listed twice though too, because the man is listed twice. Melissa's listed twice.
Just a rough estimate.
So, yeah.
$361,000 at the 7%.
Chris Olson would probably be listed twice.
Yeah.
Can I also add, when you do make a motion, to put in there for Melissa's safety, because if she gets an additional dollar or something, if we can give a percentage, unless you guys want to add a dollar
No.
or whatever. So, we forgot to do that last year.
What you're saying is percentage on the existing.
Yeah, I think last year she got 6.5%, or 6 or 6.5. I don't know.
Whatever that percentage was we used for the dollar
Yeah.
figure.
It was 6.5%.
What do you guys think?
What can the budget handle?
That's also your guys' decision.
I mean, people want to pay.
On behalf of my department, I'd like to state for, specifically just for my department, my budget's already been met for the fiscal year and I've met it in 4 months. So,
As far
For
as
my
your
revenue.
income, your revenue.
so for this raise for my departments, I feel like my department would be able to handle it. But I can't speak for following years, I'm just speaking for this year, I met my revenue budget in 4 months.
I mean, looking at yours compared to other counties, yeah, it looks like you need a little catching up on your part.
Yeah, I'm on the low end.
Yeah.
And I've spent, it's in that list, but I'm only required every year to take 12 hours of CEU courses. I've taken 50 plus because I want to be the best at my job and do the best for this county. So I've divulged myself into this job. So I'm an advocate, obviously, for a higher raise.
I'd like to say something on behalf of our agency too. Brenda kind of mentioned a little bit too, but we are, we have healthcare workers. We have a nursing home here in town that's starting out an aide at $27 an hour and a nurse at $55. We start out at $13.50 for an aide and $27 for a nurse. That is, we're gonna lose people to go to other healthcare, facilities. So I think I'm definitely for a higher rate. To retain our employees, our good employees that have been here for a long time, that have dedicated their time to our county. I think that's important.
I guess another way to look at it is the compensation board they're supposed to do is they're supposed to research to come up with those percentages that they award to the elected officials. And I can't confirm the sheriff's number of 8%. I don't know exactly what the inflation rate is right at this moment, but
Expect it to go down a little, you know,
those are numbers that
still.
we didn't produce, the five of us. Those are numbers that are supposedly, people have researched and found those numbers, so we can possibly base our increases on those numbers. So I mean, if we looked at a 7%, we didn't make up a 7% number. Somebody researched and found that 7% number. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Last night, the CPI index was 7.5.
Okay. So there again, we're not making these numbers up.
No.
Somebody is producing these percents.
Yeah, and I was told, after we took a 15% raise, they wanted us, or 15% cut, which I understand adding 2 board members, but they said that, we want them to prove themselves. And last year we got 5%, this year we got 5%. So, I feel we've done a pretty good job. I'm just a little upset that they want to, again, with the 5%. So maybe we aren't doing a very good job to them. So that makes me, I'm definitely here with an open mind and listening to you people. I definitely am. But,
I think the state has passed some legislation where you don't have to have a comp board if you don't want, if you choose not to.
I looked that up, Mike. I was wondering that yesterday.
I've heard that.
And so I brought up the current code and it doesn't read that
It
way.
doesn't read that way.
No, so
Maybe
I don't
it
know if
never
they
went
passed it
through.
or not. I wondered
Maybe
about
it
that.
did. I read about it being proposed.
I think we want to keep the compensation board. I believe that is a good way. You've got the higher end people in the county doing the research. And,
I guess I'll just continue that, saying that, I would move to make a motion that we give a 7%.
So percent on the existing wages that the people have.
Yeah, which would be, is that $1.58?
The $1.50. The $1.58 is a 7%. Those two, the $1.58 and the $1.78 are based on the average of the weight of the employees. And it's converted to a dollar amount increase, not a percent increase. So I mean, it's.
Last year we did the dollar amount.
Correct. So it depends on if you're saying a percent increase, then some are going to be getting more and some are going to be getting less. If you say.
And I would just soon stay with, straight across the board,
What, dollar amount or percentage?
dollar amount.
That being what?
you said $1.58.
No, I'm sorry, the $1.78.
$1.78 is the average, including the sheriff and his deputies. That's 7%. $1.78.
You have something, Lindsay? Were you gonna mention?
I'll just, can I talk out if there's a motion on the board or on the table or not?
It's supposed to be motion second, then discussion.
Yeah, we haven't gone any further.
Well, the motion was for the percent, so are we gonna second the percent?
Or die for the lack of a second.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'd say then we're gonna let it die.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, like for us, we probably had in different departments, a half dozen raises throughout the year. I probably shouldn't say this because we're all competing against, the same employees, but especially for you guys, you can't, change on the fly. I would recommend erring on the side of a little extra. I don't think the situation's gonna get any better with the workforce in the next year or so. And what's happened with us is when we lose somebody, then we have to replace them, which is expensive. We can't replace them for what they're making, so we gotta give them more. Well, then the whole crew has to go up more. And there's some of our crews that have probably gone up about 12% this year. But we have to do that to retain employees and get new employees. So you guys have great employees. I think you should make sure that you're rewarding them. And like I said, it's a big number. It's scary, but it's cost of living. And they're, we're already behind, all of us are behind, so I just hope you guys can give as much as you feel that you can.
If you're curious, Worth County is a smaller county, and their increases are a lot higher than what was proposed here. They haven't approved them, but they came in a lot higher. They went by percentage for treasurer, auditor, and recorder, and that was a 2-digit number. And everybody else was not far behind. So just food for thought with a smaller county compared to Mitchell County and what they were recommended over there. Like I said, they didn't approve them yet. They don't know what they're gonna do, but.
They're a different comp board.
Different comp board, but they're looking at the same CPI as everybody else. So.
Hasn't everybody gone behind in the last 2 years
Yeah.
nationwide?
Probably so.
Can't keep up with inflation. Because once you give the raise, it's hard to take it away.
Well, $1.78 was that one number. The sheriff had $1.86. So
Make a motion to put $1.78 hourly.
And I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion from Mark and a second from Steve for $1.78 per hour, correct? Across the board? Good. Okay,
and
We gotta add for Melissa.
should we just make it as a different motion? Do that, let's do that. That's clear.
okay. So we're talking everybody except Melissa? Is that,
Well, it's for Melissa, but she has an additional job.
she has an additional?
She has an additional amount.
But what about Amanda?
Let's,
What about Lisa?
We can do her in the season, can't we, like we did before?
we have a budget for it, but I'd rather do that separately than.
I feel
what we're
like
doing
since
now.
she's behind, she needs to,
I would agree.
so this will help catch up some and then.
But then we only pay half of hers, home health care pays the other half.
Yep, and so on Friday, I'm also I'm gonna make a budget, and they're gonna go through and look at that budget and then possibly approve it. On January 6th, I'm gonna come to you guys, and you guys will be able to make that final decision on budget. So I would go off of what you guys are saying today. So if you guys are just saying $1.78, I would make that budget depending on that price.
Let's finish this.
Okay, yeah, we better, this is discussion. Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
All right, roll call. Mark?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
$1.78 an hour it is.
I'd like to make a motion in regards to Melissa then.
Okay,
So in regards to Melissa's safety wage, it would be just a 7% increase on the existing safety wage that she has.
That's your motion.
That's my motion.
second. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call. Todd?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Mark?
Okay, motion carried.
Do you want to talk about Amanda or we wait?
Well, we're into it.
Yeah, let's finish it.
Finish.
I make a motion that we increase Amanda's hourly rate $1.04 per hour.
That's $1.04 on top of the $1.78. Or,
That'll bring her up to the level that, yes,
effective July 1st, correct?
yes.
But we'd only do half, wouldn't we?
Well, that would be our
Again, the
half.
Board of Health would approve this on Friday. So I would bring the number that you guys are proposing today for planning and zoning, I would bring that to the Board of Health on Friday. They would approve it on January 6th. I would come to you with that budget.
It's $1.78 is also. That would be right. You don't have to say it. They'll pay half. They'll pay half.
My $1.04 was just simply for the planning and zoning department, which we are in control of here. I'm not talking about the sanitation side of it.
That would give her a raise of $5,865.
To clarify, is
That
this
would bring you,
$1 for even, or is this $1.04 on top of $1.78? I just want to clarify.
On top of it, I think is what.
This $1.04 would, this is on top of that, but this $1.04 takes you from, you are low compared to everybody else. So I will say the amounts. You make $18.96 an hour right now. $1.04 is gonna put you up to 20. And that's still under some of the people that work for the county, not everybody.
It's gonna put, your salary's gonna be up to 45,000 a year, so you'll be up close to, higher than Taylor, higher than Cassuth, but lower than Pocahontas. Colorado. Yeah,
And
so you'll
with
be-
my experience, I think that is reasonable.
Okay. So we need a motion and a second to.
I made a motion.
You made a motion, okay.
$1.04.
$1.04 on top of the $1.78 to bring her up comparable with other counties with similar population and less experience.
I'll second that.
Second that. Is there any further discussion on this?
Roll call, Mark.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Thank you.
So. Steve, you'll take it on Friday then? Their board?
She'll have it with her.
Oh, she'll have it, yeah, okay. Okay,
You'll bring it over next Friday?
This Friday, we have a Board of Health meeting.
Yes, this Friday.
Yep. And so then I'll present this number to them on Friday. And then you guys will look at the budget that day. And if they want to make changes on their end, then they can do that. If they want to approve this and just keep everything even for me, then we can do that as well. But all of those numbers will be brought to you guys on January 6th, both budgets together.
okay. Sounds good. Okay, now we're going to item 11, which is 10 now, Board of Health update.
Jolene wasn't able to be here today, so I'm going to kind of speak for her. Yesterday, the Board of Health had a special meeting to kind of review the candidates that are up for, there's two appointments that are up, Brenda Miller and Sandy Offen. And then there's two applicants that are interested in being on the board. After reviewing it, the board had all agreed that that all four of them were extremely qualified, bring a lot of knowledge to the table, which brings a positive problem for the Board of Health. Since there's so many people that want to serve on the board and that are qualified and knowledgeable, they did pass to expand the Board of Health from 5 to 7. It was a 4-0 vote. So the fact that they will be bringing 2 more people to the board to bring more knowledge and experience to the table, it's also hopefully keep 2 very knowledgeable and experienced board members that appointments are up. So I think it's a great thing, a great problem that we had for the board. So next week, the Board of Health will be bringing this to the Board of Supervisors for final approval. So I just wanted to give you guys that update. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I read that email that you sent me and it says the Board of Health has 5 members. They can have an advisory council of up to 9 members.
So advisory, so that's something that we discussed yesterday at the Board of Supervisors meeting, that we don't, so it used to be required that they have to have an advisory committee on the board, but that is no longer required. So that is something that the Board of Health is going to discuss on Friday to get that wording taken out of the bylaws. So a bunch of the bylaws are being updated. The only thing they changed on the bylaws yesterday was changing the members from 5 to 7. So the rest will get approved on Friday.
And you can
at
change
that
the
meeting.
bylaws, you don't have to follow the state bylaws, or, I don't know, I'm just asking.
These are the Board of Health bylaws, our local Board of Health bylaws.
But we have to approve that down the road. This board.
Aaron Murphy said not technically all of the bylaws, but as far as the members of the Board of Supervisors has.
That is on the agenda
for next week. I had Rachel put it on the agenda for next week. Since we didn't have it on the agenda this week, we have to wait till next week to bring that officially to you guys. I just wanted to give you guys the update that that's what happened yesterday, even though Mark and Steve were there, you guys knew, but I wanted to give that official update. I think it's a great problem. I think increasing to 7 is a great idea, so.
What if down the road people want off and you can't find it? People, you know?
Then I guess the board can make that decision. If they can't find anybody, then they can bring it back down to 5. That's totally up to the board.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have.
I just wonder if it could, the code says they have to have at least 5 members. So let's just say that there isn't, and down the road, they can't find somebody, well, then they operate off of 6, they're still legal, or.
That wouldn't work because of the.
Or if they are off, have 2 people not on there, then they're down to 5, they're still legal, but then they're still searching for the other 2 people. I don't know.
It says up to 5 too. It's another
You
option.
wouldn't want an even number because of a vote problem. That would be the only issue there.
There's just thought.
Yeah, I didn't know what the state requires.
The state requires it just, they have to have at least 5.
At least 5.
Yep. And so since the Board of Health has approved it to be up to 7, they can change that in the bylaws with final approval from the Board of Supervisors. So.
Okay. Is there other updates?
That's all I have unless any other board members has any updates. I will be coming.
This was suggested to us from our state representative, Erin Barkema. She said this seems like a good problem to have. Other counties have done it under the same circumstances. I think there's 7 other counties that have 7 people on the board. And so that's kind of how we got thinking about it, was from here.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 7 other counties that had the same exact thing happen. And like I said, it's, I think, bringing more knowledge and qualifications and experience to the board, I think is a good thing, so. And I will, yeah.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, next week, after, we have a board meeting on Friday, so next Tuesday I can come and give an update. I assume Amanda will as well.
Yeah, I'll probably give an update sometime on Tuesday.
Wanted to thank you for stating that we're lower in the area, especially being right next to Minnesota. Values of wages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there one other change about, there does not be a doctor, just a physician?
Oh, yes. The other thing, and that is state level, so now we just have to change it to, in our local bylaws. It kind of happened during the pandemic, I believe, but, so before it was you had to have a physician on your Board of Health. But because of all these rural communities a lot of them don't have a physician in their county. A lot of them are, physician assistants or mid-level. So now it is approved that they can be the medical provider on the Board of Health.
Yep.
Luckily, we don't have that problem right now as we have Dr. Ross. But down the road, if we have that problem, it doesn't have to be a doctor. So that is some wording that we're going to be changing in to match the state requirements.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna skip the public health, appointment of public health board members.
No, let's go early, we skip it.
Huh?
Why did we skip it?
Oh, okay.
Just go through it.
Okay. Okay, then we're right on 11, appointment of public health board members.
I make a motion to appoint Carrie Tesh and Janet Borcherding to the Board of Health, Public Board of Health members.
Okay, Steve's made a motion. Do we have a second?
Like a second.
Mark seconded that. Is there any further discussion on that?
So we will either approve or not approve these 2 members today. I'll want it on the agenda for next week. in regards to appoint public health board members again.
Yeah.
Yep. Because then we'll know what the outcome is as far as if they are going to be a 7-member board, then there'll be 2 others that we will consider.
Yeah, and I guess,
Sounds like they're gonna be a 7-member vote, right? Or I don't, maybe.
I just want to say that, I'm not quite sure on that, but we've had 2 on that have went through that pandemic, that have been good members. They've been here 2 weeks in a row and given their thoughts on public health. And then we make a motion to put 2 on that. I guess, I'm not saying they, obviously, there must be good candidates, but I guess I'm a little confused, so.
I would agree with you, Todd. I guess, to me, it's more of a unified thing if we were to appoint all 4 of those members at the same time rather than to exclude 2 this time and then maybe consider the other 2 the next time. It's like, now let's have a team effort here and be cohesive.
Yeah.
But rather than scatter this out like this, because it just sends a bad signal again.
Yeah, that's
Not against any of these people. It just sends a bad signal. So it's unprofessional.
Roll call, Todd,
Nay.
Jim,
Nay.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Carrie, you come to the Board of Health meeting Friday then?
Yes, I can. I don't know, would you like to know a bit about me?
Yeah. Why don't you come on up?
Certainly.
I hope I don't bore you.
You won't.
And I do just want to say first and foremost that I do want what is best for the county. That's the big thing, the major thing. And a little bit about my background. During my social work career, I worked with individuals from infants through the elderly. I've also worked with the mentally, physically, and behaviorally challenged individuals. I graduated from UNI, magna cum laude, with my degree in social work. I also have credentials from Boston University, and I have an options counseling certificate through them. A little bit about what I've done for activities and professional memberships. I am a member of the National Association of Social Workers. I'm a member of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I'm a member of the Golden Key National Honor Society. I am a member of the Alpha Delta Mu National Social Work Honor Society. I'm a past member of the UNI Student Social Work Association, and that is when you're enrolled in college, you have the opportunity to be a member of that program. And I'm a past chairperson of the Care Review Board at New Hampton Nursing and Rehabilitation. I was on the board of directors for the Great Plains Daycare Center in New Hampton, and I served on the board of directors for WellSource, which formerly was the Mental Health Center of North Iowa. Right now, being retired, I volunteer at the senior site delivering meals. I am an RSVP, which is through NIAC, volunteer, and I volunteer reading to kindergartners and first graders. And I volunteer at the food bank. So in a nutshell, I firmly believe in giving back to the community and to the county. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions? No doubt you do a good job.
Yeah.
That's
Very nice. I think you'd be a wonderful benefit to Board of Health.
Yep.
And so anything I've said the last 2 weeks has not been a dig on you.
No, I know,
It's been the process.
you don't know me, you know.
But that's not it either, it's just the process that this has all taken place is what I have a problem with, not against you. So I think you'll be a great benefit to the Board of Health.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Gary.
stepping up.
Okay, item 12, items of note, meetings attended.
I had a second judicial meeting. Just some things, the parole numbers that they've had recently, or probation has been pretty much stayed the same at 3,500 people. Their parole numbers have went down. Domestic abuse numbers are going up. Sexual offender problems are going way up fast. So it shows a trend as far as what's happening. Their Tech to Connect thing where they have tablets for the inmates and the reform people has taken on national recognition, and it's going to be something that they're going to use second judicial as a example and do this nationally. They also are having some budget problems. They're going to do some changes in midstream right now, because if they continued on the way it is, they're going to be what was the number? I don't remember the number. They're going to be way over budget and mostly because of food and transportation costs, utilities costs. That it's really changing. So they're doing things staffing wise, which is unfortunate, because that's pretty much where you need the people to do what they do. But that's one of the things that they're not filling for some positions. They combined, I believe, was the Hampton office into the Mason City office, and they did that in another location. So they're doing things to try to stay ahead of their budget problem. That's pretty much it.
Okay. I had Board of Health meeting yesterday, December 12th. It was at noon. Discussed the update in the Mitchell County Board of Health laws, which we kind of heard. They also discussed the candidates vetting, and again, was very positive that they had 2 people apply. Most counties do not have people who would donate time. We discussed to add 7 to the board instead of 5. Aaron Barkman says there are 7 counties that have 7 board members. More eyes to the board would be positive. Motions to change 5 to 7 was approved. I guess that's it. Moving on.
Okay, I didn't have. Steve went to my meeting for me, I wasn't available. Mark?
I did not have.
I had a fair board meeting. Some of them went to the Iowa Fairs convention. That's kind of where they line up the carnival and talk with people. So I believe they've got the tractor pull lined up. They talked with who puts that together. They've got an amusement company hired for the Midway. They got beef and swine weigh-ins dated, and they went through and they have a lot of committees on that, but they never had anybody's names on it. So they decided to make a committee list with everybody who's on that committee, so they can all communicate. And they are talking about insulating, heating the bingo room at the new bingo and then that'll be also a meeting room. So
Air conditioning too?
what's that?
Air conditioning too?
They didn't say anything about that. I just got heating here also. But that was it.
All right. Is there any public comment?
Yes.
Eddie?
Well, I'm here. I watched your meeting from last week, just the other night. And, I was very concerned because we do have an excellent Board of Health. And I used to attend all their meetings when I was on the Board of Supervisors. But at that time, the county attorney did an AG's opinion and said that a board member could not serve on the Board of Health. So we had nobody. But anyway, I did find out that about the Board of Health meeting, and I understood that Steve, you took the place of Mike at the board meeting, and they discussed going to 4 members. And I thought that was an excellent idea, because I do believe that.
They're going to 7 members.
No, I mean, excuse me, 4 of the people that you're going to approve. 4, instead of 2, you would be looking at 4, they would add 2 more.
Yep.
So anyway, and I understood that, and you just said that they approved that, going to 7. So I guess I was kind of hopeful. I thought perhaps because they said that Mark had said at the meeting that maybe they just ought to table that and have all 4 voted on at the same time. So I thought that's probably what I was going to hear today. But so I hope that next Tuesday that does happen, because, I look at, to think that right now you have 3 nurses and a doctor on the Board of Health, and that's almost unheard of. And back in my time, it was really difficult to find people. And they're such valued people. When you find people that are willing to volunteer their time at no pay, and they have such great interests. And you probably all know I'm on the Board of Trustees at the hospital, so I'm really involved in healthcare. And, I looked at the time that the 2 nurses, well, they're all 3 nurses, but only one of them, Jolene, could give shots because she's kept up her license. But I looked at the time that all 3 of those spent during the pandemic, and helping out the Board of Health. And I didn't know, maybe you guys didn't know when you looked for new members, maybe you didn't know they were still interested. But anyway, now that they are, and I just hope that you look at that, and I hope that next week you do what Mark had said, why don't we wait and appoint all 4 at the same time? So I hope that you reappoint those other 2, because they've given so much time and talent to this county. And then I wanted to say something else too, because I looked at, when I was on the board, I looked at the public health. And they were always asking for an awful lot of money, and it was costing quite a bit of money. So I just asked the other day, I called and I was asking, what kind of tax money did it cost the county for public health last year? And Laura informed me that their budget was, 200 and some thousand?
Yeah, we budgeted over using $200,000 of county money.
And so I said, and how much did you use? 78,000 of tax dollars. And I thought, wow, that is exceptional. They brought in so much from Medicaid, Medicare, grants, and that's just exceptional. So I think that one other thing I would like to say is I would really like to have you revisit the giving them some money from the pandemic money. And the reason I say that is I just got done doing a thank you to all of the employees at the hospital and clinics. And that was $165.70 that I did. And then I looked at the 15 on the Board of Health, and I would love to have given them that bonus. But we gave them a bonus from the COVID kinds of money. We gave them, and we called it a retention appreciation bonus. And I listened to what Sheriff Beaver said this morning, and also Rich Brum and the Board of Health and the health community. And I think, it's so difficult. What they said is right, that it's so important to retain employees than losing them and having to retrain, or maybe not even finding employees. And Laura, I didn't realize that the nursing homes were paying that kind of money.
One nursing home just came out with those rates.
Yeah, but
It's probably not going to
Not very,
It's probably not going to be long-term though.
but still, they see it and they're gonna wanna go there.
Well, they'll be fully staffed in 2 weeks, I can guarantee you. Yeah.
Well, I would like to say I used home health care 3 times in the last 5 years. And, when I heard somebody say, well, they don't work, I guess you said, Mike, they don't work the same hours or so on. They work, they're on weekends, nights, and so on.
Yeah. Betty, I'm going to have to, you're supposed
Well,
to
I
keep
would
it one
hope
topic for 3 minutes. It's a public comment rules.
that we have to follow. So I hate to cut you off, but I gotta do what it says.
Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, thanks for the comments. And
Lindsay?
And the one thing I was gonna add, when you're talking about that, the appointment of the public health board member's been on the agenda for 2 weeks, so, at some point we have to follow the agenda, So that's why we did 2 today and, next week, whatever,
But you bring up volunteer work, there's a lady behind you that does more volunteer work than probably anybody. She helped, we were at that county social service collaboration meeting that day, and Mrs. Penny's name got brought up for helping people with Medicare and Medicaid. Isn't there an open enrollment that you help a lot with? So she gives an awful lot of time that she probably never been public knowledge about. I'd just like to say thank you very much for your help.
Okay. Well, I have a few comments that some of them are a little bit probably mute right now, but before 2020, my experience with public health was new. They were very accommodating in setting up routine vaccinations at our work site and always available for questions in regards to various health issues that arise from time to time. When the entire world was faced with the crisis of COVID, I was scared. You guys can read this. As a business owner, school board member, son of elderly parents, husband, father, there were more questions popping up on a daily basis than answers. Literally from day one, the team from Mitchell County Public Health was there to face the challenge and be our guiding light. Throughout this crisis, they worked tirelessly to get information, tools, and support for all of us. Because of their dedication, organization, hard work, and compassion, Mitchell County Public Health became one of the leading response teams in the Midwest. As the roller coaster ride progressed, we relied on them every step of the way to get through more scenarios than I can remember. Patient, respectful, professional, and kind. To not only have the ability to handle a situation like that, but to excel and thrive through adversity can only happen with a competent and forward-thinking board, an incredibly talented and prepared workforce, and an army of volunteers that trusted this team. Mitchell County is forever in your debt. Now we have 2 members of the board whose terms are up. The fact that they're willing and wanting to serve again after all they've been through speaks volumes to the team in place, and God bless them. When Jolene presented her board's recommendations for both of them to be reappointed, following the recommended process in place, I would have expected several responses. Gratitude, appreciation, respect. Instead, something completely different transpired, and I don't know what or why. I admire Jolene for remaining calm and trying to understand the situation. Is public health doing something wrong? Why would your board not take recommendations of those working directly with these candidates? Iowa Code recommends following these procedures, so why wouldn't Mitchell County? When I witnessed last week, the answers to me appear to be because we have the power to do what we want to do. We don't like your work schedule, and there are other departments more important than yours. After today's meeting, I'm afraid there's way more to it than that, and that scares me. There's a comment from a board member that they're just speaking from what he's heard from the public. I can tell you for a fact, I've heard from the public significantly different things. I've heard that this is another direct attack on an autonomous department. Micromanaging about areas in which they have less expertise in their boards, and borderline bullying. Now, you have another decision to make. Can we go to 7 members? The people that were candidates before are still willing to do that. I would hope you would do that, and I would hope you reappoint, or now newly appoint, Sandy Offen and Brenda Miller. I'm upset. A lot of people are upset. You had an easy way to solve this. They gave it to you. You decided to make a point, not to appoint new people, but to not appoint 2 other people. The reasoning, none of us know. That's disappointing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it needed to be on the agenda in order to go to 7, correct? Or am I wrong? Yeah, so it's not on the agenda, so how can you do something for it?
It's on the agenda last week, you tabled it. Pretty simple.
We already tabled it for two weeks, and like Terry's been here 2 weeks.
If you table it, you can't table it twice, I think.
Then it's dropped, right?
You guys could have done the right thing and put the 2 that are currently on the board and reelected them today. And then those 2 that are newly interested, reelected them next week if you really cared.
That's great. Thank you.
I agree. This is Sherry Penny, and I would just like to put in my 2 cents as well. I would like to echo Lindsay's comments I think that as a board of supervisors, you have a job to do to listen to the board, the autonomous boards that you have in place. These board members are stepping up, volunteering their time, and really taking the time to serve on these boards. And by listening to the autonomous boards, when they come to you as supervisors with a recommendation, it's your job to put the right people in place to be able to make the informed decisions. And I think that it speaks volumes that you are not willing to listen to the recommendation of current board members. And the fact that we have so many wonderful people that are stepping up to volunteer, I think is wonderful. So I highly encourage you to accept their 7-member board. And as a tax-paying citizen, I encourage all of Mitchell County residents to start asking questions to your supervisors. I want to see these 2 people that had already served on the board be re-elected for a second term. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Thank you.
I would like to speak also. I feel like it's a slap in the face to people who have been on this board and have worked hard. And I feel like it's a board decision. You don't like them, you don't like what they're doing. The board is an autonomous group that brings recommendations to you. I feel very, I don't feel like they're appreciated or respected for the work that they have done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Hearing none, I guess we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Made a motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, this is your big minutes.